welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I'm joined by the beautiful Victoria. Victoria, how you doing today?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's such an honor to have you here. I'm glad we were finally able to make this happen. This is one we've been trying to do for a very long time, and the schedules finally lined up. But before we talk about why you're here, I would like for the people that don't know you to get to know you a little bit. You were born and raised in Canada, but now you live in America, and you've loved horror your entire life. And you went to makeup school for special effects right out of high school. So, going to school for makeup, especially when you're into the horror genre, is something huge. So, what was that experience like for you?
Well, the thing too is like I went into it mostly, I mean, just for beauty makeup originally, but they always say it's a good idea just to like cover all your bases because there was multiple different courses, one that did, just beauty or just airbrush. So I just did the full year one that had like, I mean, we did like sculpting, life casting, wounds, all that stuff. And I was living in Vancouver at the time, which is they call it Hollywood North. So it was definitely really cool to be there. And they filmed Deadpool 2 right outside my school at the time. So like getting to see all the movie sets too while we're learning to do the special effects stuff was really cool. But it was more challenging than I expected. There was a few times I feel like I almost quit because I was like, I can't do this. It's hard. Like it's taxing, it's long days, even just in school. But
Mhm.
it's worth it because seeing it come to life and like look real and like I tell my mom, I'm like, don't come in here because I have a bullet wound in my face that I'm practicing. And it makes it worth it because they think it's real. And like that's satisfying.
And that's the thing, being able to do your shading and being able to make sure that everything is done right so it looks real and it doesn't look like a Halloween effect. So,
Right. Yeah.
um, but also very avid video gamer. So I
Yeah.
gotta know, like, what are some of your favorite games?
My all-time favorite, which I've played, I remember seeing the commercial for it, so I bought it for my dad because I wasn't old enough to buy it at the time. My mom had to come with me, is Left 4 Dead 2. Like one I still think holds up as one of the best games ever. Like I play it on Steam now on my PC and it's still like 20,000 people playing. So that
Yeah.
one's probably my all-time favorite as well as the original Left 4 Dead, which I played backwards. I played that one second. But I've also played Gears of War with my dad. The third one is really great. The Telltale Walking Dead games. More recently, I'm into Fortnite a lot with my friend Mia, who's also on here. I think is Mia Munster on Twitter. One of my
Okay.
best friends from the horror movie group Killer Flicks is where we met. We play almost every day, and
Yeah.
we're killing a bunch of 12-year-olds, and it's fun. It's fun.
I totally understand. See, I'm old school. I do like the Left 4 Dead games, man, and I like Left 4 Dead 2 better myself. I want to be able to
So good.
throw the slime on them and make them attack each other. I'm all down for that. Until you get to that goddamn bridge level, like fuck that level.
Me
So
and my
hard.
friend, I had a friend in elementary school, which we're still friends, but she used to sleep over a lot, like almost every Friday, and I introduced her to it, and we spent like an hour trying to get this one achievement on that one level that's like cross it in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Good luck.
rage-inducing.
Yeah, me and my son used to play those games all the time, and I love the Left 4 Dead games.
So good.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this or not, but they actually were supposed to have a crossover with the Cabin in the Woods, the movie,
I
and
heard that. They're in the Cabin in the Woods movie, some of them.
they are. If you look in the blocks, you have the
Mhm.
witch in one and the boomer in the other, and
Yeah,
it's just like that's. I wish they could have went and did like a Cabin in the Woods theme at like level in Left 4 Dead. I think that would have been so dope.
they should, honestly, because now they have such a big community, like now that it's on PC and everything. I mean, not that it wasn't, but creating all these maps, I feel like someone should just do it, honestly.
Right, right, and it would be so worth it. So, we've talked about some of your personal things, but now I want to talk about Good Mijo Productions.
Mhm.
You are a special effects and makeup artist that helps out behind the scenes for this. What can you tell us a little bit about Good Mijo Pictures? I said productions, I meant pictures. It's Good Mijo
I
Pictures.
said
I'm sorry.
productions at first, and then I looked and I was like, oh shit, I said the wrong name. Great, great fiance, me. Don't even know the name. Um, so my fiance Tony, who a lot of people might be familiar with because he was also in this community with me when we met, yada yada. Um, he went to film school for like directing, writing, producing, all that fun stuff. So he's always been into like making short films, even as a kid, like him and his cousin, who stars in a lot of them, Julian, were into, making these little short films or making these little videos. So for a while, the last 5 years or so, I would say we just made like little, you know, I don't want to say dumb ones, but ones that took like, an hour or two to make only.
Sure.
Like we bump them out, we push them out, and they're fun. They're like little inside jokes almost, but they're still funny. And then more recently, he started taking it more seriously. So they started, him and his friend started Good Miho Pictures to like start producing real stuff that takes days to shoot, that has more thought behind it. That's not just an inside joke kind of style. So
Right.
the first one is up on there right now. It's called Bandits. That one is real. I think it's funny because I was there, but it's really funny. It's about these guys. They're like, they're sent off just to scare this guy who has drugs from their like mob boss. But they end up killing him, and it's like a whole thing. It's like a whole thing. It was all over like $20 or something like that. It's just a little fun short film just to like dip their feet in the water. It's done pretty well, which
Right.
we were all shocked by, like over 1,000 views, which we didn't expect at all. And now we're working on the next one, which is the big one. We're going to start a Kickstarter soon. It's going to be called They Don't Die Easy. Um,
Okay.
and we just shot the promo for that. I'm sure I'll probably find you the link to be able to share into it because I think he's working on it right now, editing it.
Okay.
So we shot like a little promo shot at his uncle's sushi restaurant. And this one's going to be about kind of a hitman that's done this job a million times, but this girl will just not die. Like it, no matter what, she doesn't die. It's like a hijinks, like comedy kind of thriller kind of,
Yeah.
which is really what he's into. So like I said, I've been doing makeup. I also hold lights where it's needed. There's a few shots where I hold the camera in different ones. I'm doing a little bit of everything.
Right. Right. Well,
Yeah.
and like you said, you don't have to go far to check this out because I have all the links down in the description for Good Miho Pictures, for the new promo, as well as Victoria's social media links. They are all down in the description below. So make sure you're checking that out. You're not going to regret it. You're going to want to get in on that. Make sure you're hitting that subscribe button while you're over there as well. So,
That part.
um, we've talked about what you're doing now and what you got going on in the future, Victoria. But here for a second, I would like to go back to the past and
Okay.
talk about what got you started in horror, your first horror movie. And
Ooh.
Victoria, the first horror movie you watched was.
And like I said in the email, it's probably, everyone's first, but my dad was really into Halloween. So it's got to be Halloween or Halloween 4. It was one of those two, probably in the same year. But yeah, it's got to be those two.
So, we talked about which one would you rather talk about? 78 or 4?
Let's talk about 4. I feel like not that 78 has been driven into the ground, but everyone talks about her. We love her. We know her. Maybe we
Right.
can talk about 4 because that's the one I remember the most. I feel like vividly.
Okay. Well, do you remember about how old you were when you watched it for the first time?
Too young, probably like 6 or 7 if I had to remember.
What's awesome about that is you are right around Jamie's age, Danielle Harris's age. You have a peer that you can latch onto when you're watching the movie. And I know you said you watched it with your dad for the first time, being a big Halloween fan, but this is a very effective movie. And to a lot of people, Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, is still their favorite in the franchise. So do you remember which scene it was that affected you the most?
There's a few in there, and like you said, with me being like similar to her age, I feel like that's also why I remember it so well. Is like, oh my god, this guy, he's after a little girl, and that's scary. There is one, and it's near the end. Well, there's a couple. Jeez, the one I remember the most though is when I think it's like the final act, and Michael is in the house now, and I think it's him and Brady. Brady's on the landing. They're yelling at him, and I think it's just really creepy to like watch him come slowly up the stairs. I feel like you feel supposed to feel safest in like your own home, even though it's the sheriff's home. But like just something about him, like there's nowhere to hide. He's just coming up those stairs and that's it. And then another one would probably be obviously the drugstore Halloween when she's looking at the costume and he shows up. I think that's really scary too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like you said, at this point, the whole town thinks he's dead, and now she's talking about a boogeyman.
Yeah.
you know so
Mm.
that's another thing that really is creepy about this movie. And I personally, as me being someone that's not a huge Halloween purist, I love Halloween 4. I think Halloween 4 is a great time. I think it's a lot of fun. But do you remember what your favorite scene from the movie is?
I
I mean, we
feel
always got to talk about Ted Hollister here. I mean,
Shit, Earl. It's Ted Hollister.
You dumb son of a bitch.
feel like I'm trying to think here. I mean, I always love like the trick or treating scenes where she loses her. I feel like that's really scary. First of all, why would you trick or treat with these kids that like severely bullied you and said you didn't have a mom? But
right.
whatever. I just, I think they get the ambience really, really well. Like the feeling of Halloween in a small town, the decorations. I know it
Mhm.
was the 80s, but I feel like it also gives like Halloween in the 2000s from when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So I just love like the ambience of that scene. It's scary that she gets lost on her own. There's no one around. I really like that scene a lot.
Right.
See,
And again, when you're watching things that at that time that's relatable to you,
mhm,
trick or treating, being a young kid and doing all this shit. I think that's why these movies are so relatable to us when we're that young and they
mhm.
have the younger characters with them. So, um, Halloween 4 does not have an absence of kills. And as horror fans, we love the kills. So, which kill from Halloween 4 would you say is the one that stuck with you the most?
Ooh. Probably the gun through her gut, honestly. Like her name is escaping me for some reason, but the other woman.
Yeah, the
uh,
sheriff's daughter.
yeah, sheriff's daughter, right through the gut. I'm like, this shouldn't make sense, but he's so strong that it just goes right through.
He didn't even have to pull the trigger.
Right. That's it.
Damn, Michael. So Halloween, obviously, huge franchise, which just ended with Halloween Ends, which we know won't be the end. But with it being a part of a franchise, I always ask, which movie in the franchise is your favorite?
It's got to be honestly between Halloween Kills and Ends, I think. The more I think about it, which don't come at me, comments. Halloween Ends is so good. I love Halloween Ends. I feel like it feels like the most Carpenter-esque feeling Halloween movie since obviously the originals. Especially since after I saw it, I started getting into more older, not older movies, but obviously my fiance, he shows me a lot. He's into all types of movies, but so like, you know, The Fog I had seen for the first time, different ones like that. Obviously, I like The Thing a lot. And then watching back Halloween Ends after seeing those movies, I'm like, this feels like a Carpenter movie more than David Gordon Green, which is
Yeah.
because of those aspects. But I really love that one. And then honorable mention, it's got to be Rob Zombie's Halloween. I love that movie.
Okay.
Ironically.
Well, and what I love about Halloween Ends, and I've said this before, Halloween Ends is a fantastic movie. It is
Mm-hmm.
an amazing movie.
Period.
It is a dog shit ending to that trilogy. Um, I just think like when you're going by continuity and what they were trying to do with that trilogy, it's not a very good end of the trilogy. But as its own film, I think it's fucking amazing. I think it's great. I think the characters are fleshed out. I think David Gordon Green is a fucking great director. I'm not
Yeah.
too much into David Gordon Green's writing, but David Gordon Green, the director, I think is
Mhm.
absolutely fantastic. And I love a lot of the shots they took in that movie, and I love a lot of the swings they took in that movie as well. And
Yeah.
um, I think the movie would have been much better received if Corey Cunningham would have at least been in the trailer, or if he would have been in Halloween Kills, like introduced there, so you could kind of get to know him a little bit before Michael imprinted on him Twilight style. But overall, I think it's like I said, great movie, terrible end of that trilogy. That's how I feel
Gonna
about it.
be like the Halloween 3 in 20 years
Right.
time. Like people watch it back and think if it wasn't again, like you said, if it wasn't part of that franchise, people still like it. But like you were saying, a lot of people don't like it as the ending to that.
Right.
And then a lot
And
of I like I said, Halloween Kills is probably my other one, but my fiance always says it definitely suffers from being like the middle movie near the end as well, which I do agree with. But I love that like it's so slasher, it's so mean, it's so violent. I love that one
yeah,
too.
it the dialogue needed some work. Um,
Evil
and
did die tonight.
yeah, coach, yeah, so did my attention span. But I don't know. The thing that bothered me the most about that movie was how the hell are you going to confuse that short little fat dude for Michael Myers?
That gets me. Be
Like
so for real. That's not Michael Myers. Like,
that's like someone looking at me and going, "Jackie Chan, holy shit!"
it's
Like it's not going to happen. This is
not
just
him.
not going to happen.
Also, like, as far
Um,
as we know, he's always got this mask on. So why would he, like, I mean, again, besides the fact that he's like 2 feet tall,
right?
why would you people, even Lori, like, are you dumb? I mean, she corrects herself, but it's like, for real? You think that's
Yeah,
Michael Myers? All right. I'm not even
yeah.
gonna,
She's like, whatever. Do what you got to do. $10
you
for this
deserve it
guy
at
for
that
all I
point.
care. Talking about your first horror movie, and
Mhm.
your favorite in the franchise, but at this point, usually my little buddy Ghostface is here with me, but he's on a little sabbatical trying to recover from what's going on with Scream 7. So he asked me to ask you, what is your favorite scary movie, Victoria?
Ooh, even just outside of the Halloween movies.
Yeah, just your favorite horror movie of all time.
Honestly, it might be it from 2017. I went into that movie again. I had never seen the It miniseries before then,
Yeah.
and I'd seen the trailer. The trailer looked scary. I didn't know too much about it, honestly. My dad wanted to see it, like, cause like before I knew my fiance, my dad is what got me into horror. big time. So I was sick when it came out, and I told my dad, I'm like, okay, well, we'll go see it. I feel a little bit better. He's like, you better. So I went, and this movie, like, sounds dramatic. I feel like like my frontal lobe developed after I saw this movie. Like,
Yep.
I saw it like 3 or 4 times in theaters after. I think it's just unreal. It's basically a perfect movie in my opinion. Like, it's very hard. I feel like to get a driven cast that is so in tune with each other. They're such good friends. They have great chemistry. Bill Skarsgård obviously just keeps killing it as like these monster characters. I just think it's such an incredible movie to me. The atmosphere is great. The scenes are great. Filmed again in Canada, so I have to
Yeah.
love it. Right near my aunt's house, which they tore down the house in between movies, so I couldn't go see it. But
Damn.
wish. But
Right.
I love that movie. I can watch that movie anytime. It's like my comfort movie too.
I love that. See, and my hot take is out of all four of the, I consider it, 1990 still a two-part movie. You got
Hmm.
them as kids and them as adults. Then you got it 2017, 2019. My hot
Hmm.
take is it chapter 2 is my favorite. I'm like on an island with this and I get it, but man, there's just something about that movie I think is so incredible. Um, so, we've talked about your favorite horror movie and your first horror movie and what they mean to you. But before I let you go, Victoria, we always bounce back to the same question. We're going to go back to Halloween 4. And what we're going to do is rank this movie on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking it on acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. We're not being critics. All we're doing is ranking this movie on how much it affected you on your first viewing. So, 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. You can use half and quarter skulls anywhere in the middle. Victoria, what would your ranking of Halloween 4 be?
Probably a five skulls. It's got to be because, like I said, like I have such a vivid memory of it was like a spare room in my house growing up. We had this little TV, not little, like a regular. I mean, TVs in the 2000s,
Sure.
and I have the VHS behind me. This is not actually. This might be my original. Probably not. My dad sent a whole bunch of VHS tapes. Wow, that wasn't a word. VHS tapes to me. I can't remember if this is ours. I know we had a bunch of them in storage, so it might be because it's in pretty good condition. But watching this, like this cover, also like the cover alone is
Yeah.
like a vivid. I know the mask does not look like this, first of all, in the movie, but this scene too, this mirror scene,
Yeah.
this is like, yeah, 5 skulls. It's got to be because I still think about it. I watch it every year, not even in Halloween sometimes.
Yeah.
It's great. I love that one. I think it's 5. It's got to be 5.
Yeah. All right. Well, and again, it's one of those movies that I think has stood the test of time. I
Hmm.
think that
Yeah.
it's really, it's so perfect to me as a Halloween film. Um, Obviously, and like I said, as somebody that's not a huge Halloween fan in general, I think
Hmm.
that it's in my top 5 of the franchise. So,
Yeah.
I do want to thank you once again for coming on and hanging out with me for a little bit and sharing how horror started for you. For everybody else, don't forget I have all of her links down in the description, so make sure you're going and checking that out, following her on social media, and subscribing to Good Miho Pictures.
Please.
Victoria, please don't go anywhere. I got a couple more questions for you.
Okay.
Um, Everyone else, if you haven't already, please like, comment, and subscribe. It does help build the channel more than you know. And follow Sledgehammer Horror on social media. Our links are in the description as well. But until next time, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.